Have you overheard any conversations this week that are fun and juicy and exciting and things you can learn from? I've overheard a few, and I have a couple for you that are just fantastic. This is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the regular Friday feature, Overheard. Life lessons through shameless eavesdropping. This was overheard at a local cafe. An adult woman and young man, perhaps mother and son, are talking. The young man says, "You don't get to tell me what to do. I'm grown." And the woman says, "Really? Who paid for your lunch?" Young man, "You did." "And who drove you here?" "You did." "And whose house do you live in?" "Yours." And the woman said, "Well, all right then. When you can pay for your own meals, drive yourself where you need to go, and pay me rent, then I'll consider you grown. Until then, you'll do your homework on time, every time." Now that is a badass mom. I love that. You know, it's really interesting to me how, as young people, a lot of us had those ideas and feelings that I'm grown. I can make my own decisions. Well, yeah, you can. However, there's a lot to be said for the fact that if you are living under someone else's roof, their house, their rules. So we all have to get to a point where we get to say we're grown when we take care of our own business. Until then, we're going to be beholden to someone else. So figuring out how you can take care of yourself makes all the difference in the world. The next overheard. This I overheard in the airport security line. Two women in their late 20s are talking. First woman, "He says he wants to live together at least a year before we get married." Second woman, "Are you okay with that?" "Are you kidding? I'd wait longer. I barely want to live with anyone, much less marry him." "Then why did you agree to live with him?" "I want to try him out." I love that. Nice. Yeah. Nowadays, a lot of people live together before they get married, and I did. I was very happy to do that. I think it's very wise to figure out who you are and who the other person is and how you live together before you make it all legal, like, as they say. Really, actually, I think it should be incredibly hard to get married and easy to get divorced, because in making that commitment, you really need to know a lot more about the other person, I think. And if you've decided you're done, perhaps being divorced or parting, separating should be easy because you're already suffering. You're probably already hurting. So adding insult to injury by making it really arduous to get out of a relationship that you don't want to be in, that may not be the best thing, the most healthy thing. However, getting married and having it be something that you really have to strive for, it'll feel like a real achievement. It'll feel like you've really gotten something if you have to, I don't know, climb a mountain or something, a metaphorical mountain anyway, in order to be able to get married. And that goes for everybody who gets married. It's not, any particular person or place or anything like that where I would advocate for that, but I really do. I think getting married, everybody should have to go through some sort of counseling or consulting at the very least, just so that you really get a chance to get to know the person and you really get to figure out who you are and how well you work together. And as that young woman said, she wanted to try him out and figure out whether or not they really are compatible living together long term instead of just being in a relationship. There's a lot to be said for, as Katharine Hepburn said, living separately but visiting often. And yeah, there is. There's something to be said for that. And if you live together before you get married, some of that same kind of experience can come into play. And I think that's a great thing, personally. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Overheard. I'm super excited to bring it to you. Next week, we'll have a couple more stories. Also, I want you to think about going to Instagram and going to my new project, my new account. It's called Gorgeous Just As I Am. You may have heard me talk about this, that I do a practice where I find people who are beautiful to me in one way or another when I'm just walking down the street or in a restaurant. And I'll tell them that they're gorgeous, just out of the blue for no reason, just going, I think you're beautiful, or I think your eyes are beautiful, or I think that's a beautiful scarf or something. And it's not, I don't mean anything by it other than to extend a compliment to someone out there in the world. And so I just recently decided from now on, I'm going to ask the person if they are willing to let me take their picture. And it's called Gorgeous Just As I Am, just as you are. No artifice, just celebrating the joy of being alive. And so there's going to be posts on at Gorgeous Just As I Am on Instagram and probably also on Twitter. And you can see the people who I think are beautiful. And I think we're all beautiful in our own way. And I'm just going to be celebrating that. So look for that coming in the next few weeks. I'm going to talk more about that later on. But I think it's just a way of generating and bringing more joy, more happiness, and more awareness of how beautiful and wonderful we all are out into the world. In fact, I'm part of the reason I decided to do this today is because apparently today somebody in paparazzi land decided to take a picture of Jason Momoa, the guy who played Aquaman, and he was at a pool somewhere, and he looked more like a normal guy and less like a mountain Greek god, right? He wasn't totally cut. He wasn't chiseled like he was made out of marble. He looked like a beautiful, well-built, but not every muscle defined, chiseled, cut man. And apparently people are saying that he's got, quote, dad bod, unquote. And I found that objectionable like crazy. First of all, he looks like a normal, beautiful, normal man. That's it. That's what he looks like. And yet there's this whole uproar about how he's, quote, let himself go, unquote. And you know what? If that's letting yourself go, my stars. I would take dad bod any day, right? But also the very idea that stirring that kind of thing up to give people a negative body image of themselves, and I don't even know if he notices this or cares about it, but he's beautiful and there's a way to celebrate that. And I think we should be celebrating the beauty of where we are, because if you are doing the work to get in unbelievable, every muscle defined shape for a movie role, you're doing things like eating nothing but chicken and broccoli for months on end, and you are working with personal trainers and coaches 3 to 4 hours a day at least. And then you pump before you get in front of the camera so that all the muscles are standing out. And there's some crazy stuff that people do to their bodies in order to make that happen. And then we look at it and see it on the screen and it feels like it should be, normal or normalized. And it shouldn't be. This is for entertainment purposes. And it is something he's doing to his body that it's not his natural way of looking, right? So we need to remember that and we need to honor that. And not call the man out for looking a little bit more normal when he's not in training to be in a superhero movie. My stars, what kind of unrealistic expectations are we placing on him and in turn on ourselves, right? So celebrating where we are right now today and celebrating our inner and outer beauty where we are right now today is becoming increasingly important to me. So look for more stories about that and ideas about that as I move forward. Today was Overheard. Perhaps the Tuesday feature will become Gorgeous Just As You Are, and maybe I'll get some interviews with people about how they feel about being gorgeous just as you are. Alrighty. I hope that you've enjoyed today's episode, and please, if you do like what you're hearing, Rate, review, share this with a friend who needs to hear it. Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I send you, beautiful person that you are, all of my love.